Good afternoon, students. I hope everybody joined the link. Please ask everybody to join the link. Let us wait for 2 to 3 minutes until everybody's joined the link, and then we can start with today's class. Let us wait for 2 more minutes so others can join the link. Thank you. Hi, students. Good afternoon. I'm Ajay and I'm part of the Planet Earth Inertia team. And I'm the digital marketing faculty for today. This session should be about 2.5 hours. So, totally, you have about 18 interventions. So, let us go ahead and start with today's chapter. So, today is a very important chapter when it comes to learning the foundations of digital marketing. We are going to study about conversion rate optimization, which is otherwise shortened called as CRO, conversion rate optimization. After completing this chapter, students will be able to understand the concept of conversion in digital environments. The students will be able to explain the principles and importance of conversion rate optimization, and we will also be able to analyze user behavior to identify conversion barriers, and finally we will be able to apply all of the CRO techniques across domains and evaluate optimization outcomes ethically and systematically. This is the agenda for today. This is the learning agenda today for today. You will be able to learn all of these factors for today. Now let us understand conversions in digital context. What is the conversion? What is the chapter that we are talking about today? What is conversion rate optimization? First, let us try to understand what is conversion in digital terms, in digital environments, in digital marketing. What is this conversion we are going to discuss about today? A conversion refers to the completion of a desired action by a user. The completion of a desired action by a user, that is conversion. This action may vary depending on context and objectives across different domains, across different fields, across different context and objectives. Let us see with the examples. In educational settings, a conversion may involve a course enrollment or resource download. In the field of business, it may involve a purchase or inquiry, and in social initiatives, it may involve sign-ups or participation. So this very same conversion in different domains and environments has the very same meaning, very same purpose, but different fields. In the educational field, people who customers who enroll on courses, that is there is also conversion happening over that. In the business field, a purchase of a product or service, or even any kind of an inquiry, there also conversion happens. And in social initiatives, it involves a lot of sign-ups and people participate in social initiatives. There is also conversion that is happening over there. So conversion happens across many fields, many domains, many environments. So that is the conversation we will be discussing today. Let us go ahead and have a look. Conversions represent meaningful engagement rather than mere exposure. While traffic indicates visibility, conversions indicate effectiveness. Understanding this distinction helps the students move beyond the surface level metrics and focus on outcomes aligned with objectives. Now, these conversions, which are context dependent and must be very clearly defined before any kind of an optimization efforts takes place. Now, without this clarity, the evaluation becomes inconsistent and it misleads the whole brand and the customers. Now, for example, let us see a student registering for an online workshop. There also conversion happens. A customer completing a purchase. There also a conversion that happens. A volunteer signing up for a campaign. There also we can see a conversion that takes place. So this is the clear meaning of conversion that I have explaining to you. Now please take down notes of the conversion, of understanding the conversion in digital context that I have explained to you just now. Take 2 to 3 minutes, write down your notes, what we have discussed for this module, understanding conversion digital context. When you are ready after 2 3 minutes, then we can move on to the next module. So I give you 2 to 3 minutes to take down your notes for this module. Please take down notes. Okay, students. Now let's move on to the next module. Now let us try to understand and see the concept and scope of conversion rate optimization. Conversion rate optimization refers to the systematic process of improving digital experiences to increase the proportion of users who complete desired actions. CRO does not focus on increasing the traffic but on improving the effectiveness of existing interactions. The scope of CRO includes interface design, content clarity, navigation structure, and trust signals. It combines analytical thinking with user centered design principles. CRO is continuous, requiring observation, testing, and refinement. Now, conversion rate is relevant across all domains. Like I said previously, for an example, educational platforms use it to improve the enrollment and engagement. Businesses use it to improve the sales efficiency. Social organizations use it to increase the participation and awareness. Now, let us see with examples. How do you do conversion rate optimization? One example of doing is to simplify enrollment forms. Now, for example, people want to enroll in a course. They click on a website, they see join course, they want to enroll the course. There is a particular form that needs to be filled. You don't want to bombard the users by giving them 10 to 20 fields, to asking too many information, too many deep information, and make it very difficult and hesitation for the users to sign up. You keep it simple. Only keep the essential questions, only the essential information that you're supposed to know. You simplify the whole form. You don't want to keep it very cluttered and make the consumer even more difficult to sign up for that form. You make it very simple for the customer. There's one more example is by improving the clarity of call to action buttons. Now, you know the call to action buttons that generally you see on websites. For example, if you click on a website and you want to go to the course, underneath last you can see a button that says join now, or buy now, or sign up now. All those buttons, it needs to be very clear. That button needs to guide the users, the person who are reading. It should not be very cluttered, in between a lot of text, a very shabby color. It needs to be very clear for the users. As soon as they open the website, they read through whatever they want to read, sign up the form, see the button. The button needs to be very clear. If it is very clear, they will go on and click the form. They will go on and click the button. But if it is very uncluttered, it is very decluttered, it is very difficult for the viewer to see all those buttons, then it becomes ultimately difficult for the customer to sign up for that course. So it is essential to simplify the form, simplify the buttons, and keep. One more example is in reducing the steps in registration processes. Too many steps, giving the users too many steps to fill, too many forms, too many processes for just to enroll a student for inside a website, then that also becomes a hesitation for the end user. We will think the process is very long, too many steps to be filled, too many forms to be filled. Then again there is a barrier, again there is a lag, so people hesitate to sign up. So that negatively impacts the whole business. So try to reduce the steps in the registration process. So this concept and scope of conversion rate that I explained to you is very important. Please take down notes. Write down the key terminology that we discussed. I will give you 2 to 3 minutes. I will keep this page for you. Please take down these notes and I will continue with the next module once you all are done. Okay, students, now let us go ahead with the next module, understanding user behavior and intent. Conversion rate optimization begins with understanding how users behave within a digital interface. User behavior includes navigation patterns, the time spent on pages and websites, and interaction with the page and website elements. These behaviors reflect intent, motivation, and usability challenges. Intent varies among users. Some seek information while others seek immediate action. Conversion rate optimization efforts must align with the interface design with user intent at every stage of the digital marketing process. Any kind of a misalignment between user intent and the interface design often leads to drop offs. Identifying such mismatches is a key component of optimization. Now, let us see this with examples. Users leaving websites due to unclear instructions, hesitation caused by complex forms, engagement driven by clear guidance. So, within a given interface, within a given website, how the user behaves, how do you understand that? How the user navigates inside the website? Is it difficult for him? Is it easy for him? Is it very accessible for him? Is it functional for him? How much time he or she takes and spends on a website? How do they interact with the elements of a website? All of these behaviors reflects the intent, the motivation, and the usability challenges. Now, this is not the same across all the users. It is not like a one size fits all kind of an approach. Every user is very different, very distinctive. The intent varies among users. Some users seek for information, some of the other users they seek for immediate action. All of these needs to align when you are doing conversion rate optimization. All of these efforts must align with the interface design. The most important factor is the intent at every stage. Now, any kind of a misalignment, if it doesn't align properly between the user and the website and the brand, immediately will lead to a lot of drop offs. People will quit the website, people will close the page, they'll go to another website, another course, another product. So, identifying this mismatches only is a key component of optimization. Now, let me tell you with a clean example. Users leaving pages due to unclear instructions. Now, if the website is not clear, there is no clarity on the website. The information what and the instructions that what they are searching for inside the website, it is not functional enough. There is no clear communication between the website, I mean between the brand and the customer. Then immediately the user will quit the page. He will leave the page. He will drop off from the page. This causes a hesitation between complex forms. Now, if they're given a form for us to sign up and fill, if the form is not clear, it has about 20 to 30 fields, a lot of hesitation in between, immediately people will drop off. They won't fill the form. Now, this is a very common example. Only if there is a clear guidance, a clear engagement will happen. The website needs to be very clear. If they have any forms for us to fill, that forms needs to be very clear. It should not have a lot of fields, a lot of lines for us to fill. Then the engagement will be high. it must be very easy for the viewer to for the user to navigate inside the website. That is the whole point, that is the whole goal of doing conversion rate optimization. Now this module, understanding user behavior and intent, is very important. Go on and take notes for whatever I have discussed for us in this module. I'll keep the page open for you, this part. In the next 2 to 3 minutes, go on and take notes, sit back and reflect what we have discussed in this module. And when you are ready, I will continue with the next model. Okay, students. Now let us discuss the conversion funnel and drop off analysis. The conversion funnel represents the sequence of steps users take before completing a conversion. Each step presents opportunities for engagement as well as potential drop offs. Now, drop off analysis involves identifying the stages where users disengage. This analysis helps diagnose friction points such as lengthy forms, unclear value propositions, or trust concerns. Understanding this funnel behavior enables targeted improvements rather than broad changes. Now, what are the examples? Let us see. Users exiting before checkout, students abandoning application forms, and visitors leaving after viewing information pages. Now, this is the drop off example that happens. This is a series and sequence of steps that the users take before completing a conversion. This drop off analysis involves identifying the stages where the users drop off or close the website, or don't continue with filling up their forms, or don't continue with signing up for that online forum. This drop off and understanding this drop off analysis is very important. What is the reason they don't go ahead with the purchase? What is the friction points? Let us see. Lengthy forms, unclear value propositions, or trust concerns. These three are a very evident factor where the consumers or the customers drop off, close the website, or don't continue with their purchase. Understanding this funnel behavior enables brands and people who are doing performance marketing make improvements rather than changes. Now, understanding this conversion funnel and drop off analysis is very important. So please take notes for this module, what I have taught. For this stage, conversion funnel and drop off analysis, I'll give you 2 to 3 minutes time. Take notes of this. And when you finish, I will continue with the next module. Okay, students. Now let us go ahead with the next module. Now let us see what is user experience and interface design in conversion rate optimization. Now, user experience plays a central role in conversion outcomes. User experience includes usability, accessibility, clarity, and emotional comfort. An intuitive interface reduces cognitive effort and supports confident decision making. Interface design influences perception. The visual hierarchy, spacing, and language affect how users interpret information. Conversion rate optimization emphasizes clarity over persuasion. Inclusive design practices also improve conversion by accommodating diverse users. For example, clear navigation menus, readable fonts and layouts, and accessible form design. The user experience, what we are discussing about over here, is the usability, accessibility, clarity, and emotional comfort. When you're using a website, when you're clicking through a website, when you're searching through a website, you first check the usability, how accessible the website is, how usable it is. Is it clear? Is there clarity in communication from the brand, whatever they are trying to clarify to us? Is it very functional? Is the layouts planned correctly? Or is it very difficult for you to move on to from one column to another column? Is it linear? Is the interface very intuitive? Is the interface very easy for you to navigate? Because only if it is easy for us to navigate, it will support confident decision making. Now, if you go ahead and make it very difficult, very complex navigation, very complex layout, the accessibility is not accessible enough, it is not functional enough, it is not intuitive enough, then it becomes very difficult for the user to navigate. Now, all of these is a major barrier when you're doing conversion rate optimization. You must see whether the fonts are are spaced correctly, if the language affect how users interpret information. Simple language, it should not be very complex terms. Everybody should be able to understand the language, how the brand is interpreting the information. All of these emphasizes on clarity more than persuasion. The whole goal of conversion rate optimization is to emphasize on clarity than persuasion. Only when the communication is clear, only when the fonts are readable and the layout is planned correctly and intuitively and accessible and functional, then the conversion happens positively. Then you can expect a good conversion rate. That is the whole point of doing user experience design. The user experience needs to be very positive for the user, whoever is navigating through the website. Now, this part is very important. Go on and take notes for the user experience and interface design. Take 2 to 3 minutes. Take down notes what I have discussed for you so far in this module, as this is very important. And once you're done, I will go ahead with the next module. Okay, students, now let's move on to the next module. Trust signals and credibility factors. Let us try to understand what that is. Trust is essential for conversions, particularly when users are required to share personal or financial information. Trust signals include transparent policies, testimonials, secure interfaces, and consistent branding. These are the trust signals. But whereas credibility reduces perceived risk and supports decision making, lack of trust signals often leads to hesitation or abandonment. Ethical conversion rate optimization respects users' autonomy and avoids deceptive practices. Now, for example, the display of privacy policies, the use of secure payment indicators, and clear institutional credentials. Now, when you're doing conversion rate optimization, trust is a very important factor. Trust and credibility. Because when you have a website, for example, say when you're running a course, people tend to enroll on the website. Now, when you're enrolling on a website, you need to share personal data, personal details, and if you have a payment option, you will also have to fill up financial information like your card details or your UPI ID, all of those. Now, this is very, very important for the brand to understand, and they must include very transparent policies and secure interfaces with consistent branding. Now, if they don't do all of this, if they are not transparent enough, and if the brand gets very bad reviews, the financial details what you're putting in is not secure, the user experience and the user interface is not secure, if the branding language is not consistent enough, then all of these are red flags. There is a loss of credibility if all of these doesn't happen enough. The brands must implement ethical practices. They need to respect the user's autonomy and avoid all of these red flags, avoid all of these deceptive practices. They must display privacy policies. They also must display secure payment indicators, clear institutional credentials. Only when all of these are done, only if all of these ethical practices are done, that is when they can gain the trust of the consumers, the users, and the clients who are eventually going to do purchase decisions. Only if they follow all of these ethical SEO practices, they will be able to win over the consumer. So, this is very important. Getting the trust and getting the credibility from the clients, from the customers, is a very important practice when you're doing conversion rate optimization. Now, go ahead and take notes for trust signals and credibility factor module. I will give you 2 to 3 minutes and I will keep the page open for you. Please take necessary notes because it will be very valuable for your future chapters and on a whole understanding digital marketing and the foundations of digital marketing. So please take notes for the next 2 to 3 minutes. I'll keep this page accessible and open for you. Okay, students, now let's go ahead with the next module, testing and experimentation in CRO. Testing is a core component of conversion rate optimization. Controlled experiments compare variations of content or design to observe user responses. Testing supports evidence based decisions rather than assumptions. Experimentation requires clear objectives and careful interpretation. Changes should be evaluated based on meaningful outcomes rather than short term metrics. Testing also encourages a culture of continuous improvement. For example, comparing two versions of a registration page, testing different call to action wording, evaluating layout changes. Now, what is this testing we are talking about? Now, it is very essential for us to experiment because we are not doing a one size fits all kind of an approach. You won't know what marketing is working and what is not marketing working. Only when you do test experiments, you will be able to diagnose and understand what will work and what won't work. Now, like I was saying, testing and experimentation is very important in conversion rate optimization. Now, what is this testing we are talking about? Testing supports evidence based decisions rather than assumptions. Let me give you a clear example. Now, when we are going to implement a digital marketing campaign for a brand, it is important that you start off by creating two different types of campaigns, two different versions of a campaign. For example, if an educational institution is going to implement a registration page, it is important for them to have two versions of it, two different versions of it. What could be the difference? There can be difference of wordings between two pages. There can be different call to action buttons like join now, enroll now, two different types of buttons. The next change can be layout changes. One campaign or one website can have a different layout, the other one can have a completely different layout. What is the goal of doing this difference? What is the goal of having two different versions? The whole goal of having two different version is to compare what is working and what is not working. You will get to diagnose and understand what is working and what is not working, after which you can implement what is working. But once you don't do this, when you don't experiment, then you won't understand, then you won't be able to find out what is working. So this is a very good practice of doing testing and experimentation when you are doing conversion rate optimization for a brand in digital marketing. So I have this page in front of you all. Go ahead and take notes for the next 2 to 3 minutes. This is very important. It is very important to do testing and experiment when you're doing conversion rate optimization. So I have the page in front of me. Go on and take notes for this module. How do you do this? I have it in front of me. So please take down notes. Okay, students. Now let us see the next module, ethical considerations in conversion optimization. Let us see what that is. Ethical CRO prioritizes users' benefit and transparency. Practices such as forced actions, misleading prompts, or any hidden information undermine trust and long term engagement with the brand. Responsible optimization respects users' choice and supports informed decisions. Ethical standards are especially important in educational and social contexts. Now, sustainable CRO balances the effectiveness with integrity. For example, avoiding deceptive countdown timers, clear opt in mechanisms, and honest communication of outcomes. It is very important for brands to follow ethical SEO practices. What is the benefit of doing this ethical SEO practices? Because it prioritizes the user's benefit and transparency. You are very transparent to the user. Bad practices like forced actions, when you're completely forcing the user to make a forced action, if you have any misleading prompts, any misleading information that totally dissects away from what you are trying to message the viewer, to message your potential clients and customer, or any kind of a hidden information, there's privacy concerns, you're not clear with your message and communication. All of these factors undermine the trust and long term engagement of your brand, because only when you're open and clear with your customers, then only you can gain the trust of the customer. So it is very important to implement ethical SEO practices when you're doing customer rate optimization. It is very important to make sure the customer converts into this experience, converts into the influence of your purchase decisions. So that is the conversion that happens between the customer and the brand. Now let us see the key terms to recollect what we have gone through. Yes, students. Now, so far, what we have discussed in this module, conversion rate optimization, there are very important terminologies and keywords basically. These are basically keywords that will drive in the sales when you're dealing with the foundations of digital marketing. Conversion, conversion rate, conversion funnel, user experience, and trust signals. These are the five keywords that we discussed for today. We understood what is conversion, we understood what is conversion rate, what is the conversion funnel, what is the user experience, and what are the trust signals. Now we have experiential activities, all right? What I'll do is, now this experiential activity will be scenario based. I will give you one scenario, and then back to back we will understand how do we do the diagnosis for that scenario when it comes to conversion rate optimization. All right. For example, an online learning portal receives high traffic but low enrollment. The analysis reveals complex forms and very unclear instructions. Now, by simplifying this design and improving the trust signals, the whole enrollment improves. Now, let us go ahead and discuss how and where we can implement this conversion rate optimization principles. Okay. Now, from this scenario, the first task would be a conversion identification task. Now, let us go and see the what is the first step. The first step to do the conversion identification task is to identify conversions on a website. The second step would be is to classify their purpose. The third step would be to discuss the relevance. Now, these three steps should be done when you are doing conversion identification task. Now, from that very same scenario, let's go ahead and have a look at the second activity. Now, this is a purely funnel based mapping exercise. How do you do this funnel mapping exercise? The first step would be choose a digital process. The second step will be map all the steps. And the third step would be to identify drop off points. These three are the main and important steps when you want to do funnel mapping exercise. Now let us see the third activity from the very same scenario. How do you do user experience evaluation task? Let us see. The first step would be is to analyze a web page, to analyze a website. The second step would be is to identify what are the usability issues. How functional is the website? How accessible is the website? Is the layout correct? Is the articles that is the readability correct? If it is very clear, the communication from the brand to the client, is it a clear communication? Is it is a if it is a consistent clear message, we need to try to identify that. Now, the fourth activity from that very same scenario would be Trust signal review. How do you do this trust signal review? The first step would be is to list the trust elements. The second step would be is to evaluate the effectiveness. And the third step would be recommend enhancements. Now, these three are very important steps when you want to do the trust signal review. Now, the fifth activity would be ethical reflection exercise. How do you do that? What are the steps to do ethical reflection exercise? The first step would be is to reflect on a persuasive design. The second step would be identify ethical boundaries. And the third step would be to present the insects. What do you do? Remember, we discussed about the ethical SEO practices. What are the ethical practices? What are the ethical SEO practices that brands need to follow? We need to check on how the design is. Is it persuasive? You also need to identify the ethical boundaries, whether they have done clean work. All the information, there is no hidden content. Everything is very clear. The design is very clear. The layout is very clear. All of these contributes to ethical practices when you are doing conversion rate optimization. So what do you do this? Go in, look at the website, think about the scenario, and one by one, these are the tasks that you need to perform when you're doing conversion rate optimization. And when you do these tasks, then you are allowed to say that you are positively impacted the brand and you are gone forth with the perfect ethical practices of conversion rate optimization. So please take down these notes. What I will do is I have the activity in front of me. I will expand it for you. The cassette. Please take down notes of this activity and this task. And further on, the steps what you need to do, I will show you. Take down notes for the next 2 to 3 minutes. Sit back and reflect about what we have discussed so far in this module. Take down the scenario what I have in front of you, and after which you are done, we will go forth with the next module. Okay, students. Now, what we are going to do is whatever we have discussed so far, I'm going to very clearly break it down and explain to you about conversion rate optimization. You all can also sit back and reflect on whatever I am teaching you. Whoever wants to take down necessary notes can take down the necessary notes. Please make sure you follow all the terminology and all the insights that I will give you, because this chapter is very important. Once you understand this chapter, it will be beneficial for you to understand the foundation of digital marketing, and why this chapter, which is conversion rate optimization, is a very important foundation when it comes to digital marketing on the whole. All right, let us start. What is this conversion rate that we were talking about? What is the conversion rate optimization that we were discussing about? I'll give you a very simple example. What we are discussing over here. If 100 people visit your website and only two people are buying something, is it good or is it bad? You have a website, and in that website, you are either selling a product or a service. 100 people are visiting your visit, 100 people are visiting your website, and out of that 100 people, only two people are actually buying something from your website. Is it a good or is it bad? Only two out of 100 people are buying something. So your conversion rate is 2 out of 100. This is the conversion we are talking about today. This is the conversion that we are going to discuss about today. And this is the very example that we are going to implement, break it down, and I'm going to explain it for you. So, what is this conversion? A conversion happens when a visitor does what you want them to do. For example, you want them to perform an action. You want the viewer to perform an action when they are viewing your website. What can that action can be? That action can either be buying a product, you want them to buy a product, or you want them to fill out a form. Say, for example, you are an educational platform and you have a lot of courses for college students. Say, for example, digital marketing course, Python course, C++ course, JavaScript course, any kind of a course. So you want them to fill out a form. You want them to perform that action. What is that action? You want them to fill out a form. That is the action. You want them to sign up for newsletters, for any kind of for email marketing related letters. You want them to download an app. You want them to click a button. All of these are actions that needs to be performed by customers, and brands want you to perform this action. Now, whether you get into an action, whether you implement that action, is called as conversion. So, in simple words, conversion is equal to desired action. From the brand's perspective, they want you to perform an action, and that action converts to conversion. That is what we are discussing today. Now, what is the conversion rate? What is this conversion rate? Like, for example, I was talking to you, 100 people visited my website, but only two people bought a product. Only two people enrolled for a service. It is not good because 100 people enrolled, 100 people viewed my website. What went wrong? What is that factor? Why only two people bought a product from my website? Why only three people bought a product from my website? Why only two people signed up for a service? So let us deeply see what that is. Now let us see and try to understand user behavior and intent in conversion rate optimization. Why do people visit a website? Not randomly. People don't randomly just go ahead and visit a website. Why do people visit a website? They visit a website because they actually want something. That want is called user intent. What they actually do on the website is called user behavior. You understood? What they want from the website is called as the user intent. What they actually do on the website is called as user behavior. Now, conversion rate optimization is about understanding both what the user wants and how they behave. Understanding these 2 points is the core of conversion rate optimization. First, let me explain to you about what is user intent. User intent is equals to why someone came to your website. Let us try to understand why someone came to your website. There are three mainly there are three mainly there are mainly three types of intent: an informational intent, navigational intent, and transactional intent. Let us see what is this informational intent. They want information. For example, what is digital marketing? Best budget phone under 15,000 rupees. They are researching. This kind of audience are informational intent audience. They want information. They want information about courses, about this product, about this phone, about this watch, about this shoe. So the intent over here is about information. They want information. They are researching. So this is one type. The next type of intent is navigational intent. They want a specific website or brand. For example, if you want a shoe, they are going in for Nike official website, or Adidas official website, or Puma official website. They're going to figure out, they're going to navigate. They already have a set of brand in their mind. They already have a pursued brand. Some people already have a brand value. Now they are only using the platform to navigate to that brand. Already it is fixed in their mind. They want to buy a Nike shoe. They want to buy a Apple phone. They're just using this space for navigating to their official website. So it is already fixed. They already know where they want to go, but they are just navigating it using their search engine. That is one type, that is the second type of intent, navigational intent. Now, the third type of intent is transactional intent. They want to take action. This third type wants to take action. They want to buy a phone online, buy iPhone online, enroll in digital marketing course. They want to perform an action. They are not researching. Here they are trying to perform the action. They are actually wanting to do it right away, right now. Buy iPhone 15, enroll in digital marketing course, purchase this product immediately. Here they are ready to convert. Here they are already ready to conversion, not like the above two examples I have given. Now, if you don't understand the overall intent of these three types, then you cannot increase the conversions. Only when you understand the intent of the consumer, then you will be able to perform and implement a good conversion rate optimization. So the first part what I taught you was about consumer intent. Now I'm going to teach you about consumer behavior, user behavior. What is user behavior? User behavior is what users actually do on your website. For example, how long they stay on your website, where they click, what do they click, how far they scroll, how far they keep on scrolling down, how far they scroll. While they are scrolling, which part they get bored and they exit. In the many pages of your website, which page they visit first. Now, if they're purchasing something on the e-commerce, for example, if they're purchasing something on Amazon and Flipkart, whether they add to the cart but they don't purchase, they added a lot of things to the cart, but they don't purchase that product. All of this information, all of this behavior information will be diagnosed. What is the point of taking this user behavior, if you ask me? Here you can understand if you're confusing the customer. Here you can understand whether the customer is interested in your product or service. Here you can understand if there is a friction between the customer and the brand. And one more important point, you can understand if the customer trusts you. These are very important factors when it comes to consumer behavior, your customer behavior. Only if you understand all these points, you can effectively do conversion rate optimization. Why behavior and intent matter the most in conversion rate optimization? Take 2 minutes, take 2 to 3 minutes, whatever I have taught you about what is user intent and what is user behavior. Take 2 to 3 minutes, assimilate your thoughts, take this as a reflection example and exercise, curate whatever insights I have taught you in your minds, and we will continue with the next model. Okay, students, now let us try to understand why behavior and why behavior and intent matter the most when you are doing conversion rate optimization. I'll give you a scenario. Imagine this. Imagine if a user searches buy running shoes online. Okay, just an example. They're searching for running shoes. So what they're doing, they're searching for buy running shoes online. They land on your website, but your homepage only talks about the history of sports footwear since 1980, something irrelevant, the history of sports, something really irrelevant. It doesn't matches to his whatever he has typed. He has typed buy running shoes online, but when it takes it when the website takes it to their homepage, your homepage is about the history of sports. Will they convert? They will not convert. No, they won't convert. Why? Because their intent is to buy a product, is to buy a shoe. Their intent is to buy a running shoe. But what your page says, your page only gives them information. Now, because of this misalignment, they won't be interested. Because of this mismatch, they won't get converted to a potential customer. This is the very prominent example. Now, how do we understand user behavior? How do we understand it? Now, in real digital marketing, we use tools like analytics tools, or very popular analytic tools for digital marketing. For example, I could say Google Analytics. It is a very potent and very important tool when you are doing analytics and user behavior research. What it would show is it would give us a lot of information and metrics, for example, like heat maps, session recordings, funnel analysis, A and B testing. All of these can be done using Google Analytics. Now, what will this tool show us about user behavior? What can it diagnose? What can it break down? What metric can it break down? It can break down and diagnose where users drop off, which part of the page when they are scrolling they drop off, where they hesitate, which part of the whole buying experience they think twice and they cut off, they don't go forward with their purchase. What buttons, which buttons they ignore the most? Is it buy now or pay now or join? What is that button? What is that action? That also we will be able to mine. And in your website, which page converts the best? All of these we will be able to diagnose when we use analytical tools like Google Analytics. Okay, students. Now, let us try to see and understand what is conversion funnel and drop off analysis. I'll break it down for you very easily. Let me start with a simple question. Do all people who visit a website end up buying a product? The answer would definitely be no. Why? Because they move step by step, and at each step, some people leave. Now, that journey, right, from the starting from which they are clicked on the website till the end where they have either purchased the product or not, that whole journey is called as conversion funnel. Let me explain to you what is a conversion funnel. A conversion funnel is the step by step path a user takes before completing a desired action. You can ask me, so why is it called a funnel? I'll tell you why. Because it is exactly like a funnel shape. At the top, many people enter, and at the bottom, only few people convert. It is like a triangle shape. It narrows down like a triangle. At the top, many people enter, that is why it is wide, and at the end, at the bottom, only very few people convert. It narrows down like a triangle. That is why it is called as a funnel. Let me give you a very prominent example on any of the e-commerce website. For example, I can take Amazon. Let's take a simple online shopping example. Now you visit the website, you go to the product page view, you just click and add to cart whatever you want to buy: phone, shoes, a dress, t-shirt, pants, whatever it can be. You add to cart, you directly go to checkout, payment completed. Now if 1000 people visit, 600 people view the product, 300 people add to the cart, only 150 people go to the checkout page, and only 80 people complete the payment. So there is a shrinking process. That is why it is called a funnel. That shrinking process is the funnel. 1000 people visits your website, only 300 people add to the cart whatever product it is. Then the next step, only 150 people go to the checkout page, and only 80 people complete the payment. Now this whole process is a funnel. So why it happens like that? Because there is a drop off in between. People are dropping off. Clients are dropping off. Customers are dropping off. What does drop off mean? When users leave the funnel before completing the action, then it is called as a drop off. If 300 people add to cart, but only 150 people go to the checkout page, then 150 people dropped off at that page. That is called as a drop off. Now let us try to understand why funnel analysis is very important. Because you cannot fix what you cannot measure. Am I right? Only if you are able to measure, you can fix something. If you cannot measure something, then how can you fix it? So that is the whole reason for implementing this funnel. Now this funnel analysis helps us with, you can identify where your users are leaving. You can also detect which stage is very weak in the whole customer process. You can also improve specific steps, which step needs improvisation. and the overall conversion rate can be implemented. So that is the reason people do funnel analysis, and that is why funnel analysis is very important when you're doing digital marketing. My dear students, you can go ahead and take down notes for what I've taught you for conversion funnel and drop-off analysis. For the next 2 to 3 minutes, I'll keep it friend. Sit back and reflect on what I taught you about the conversion funnel. Take down notes whenever it's necessary. And the next 2 to 3 minutes, I will get to the next topic. Please take notes. Okay, students. Now let me bring to you to a very important topic: user experience and user interface in conversion rate optimization. Let us try to understand what is this user experience and user interface. Let me ask you a very simple question. Have you ever left a website because it was very confusing? Many of us has done that. Why? Because we have had a very bad user experience. That is a pure example of a bad user experience. In digital marketing, design is not about the beauty. It is about making users take action easily. That is the whole point of doing conversion rate optimization. It is not about looking good. It is about being intuitive. It is about being very accessible. The viewers must take action very easily. Now let us see what is user interface. The visual elements users interact with, for example, like buttons, colors, fonts, layout, images, forms that they get to fill, the navigation menu that the navigation design of the menu that they see, all of these is a user interface. In simple terms, user interface is how the website looks. Now let us try to understand what is user experience. The user experience is how users feel while using the website. It is about the feeling of the consumer, of the client, of the customer. Now, what is this feeling? Is it easy to use? Is it fast? Is it clear? Is it confusing? Or is it very frustrating? In very simple words, user experience is about how the website feels. Now, let us see the relationship between user experience and user interface. If the user experience is very smooth and if the user interface is very clear, then which means the users trust the website. The users understand what to do. The users are easily able to take action, and by doing all of these, the conversions increase. Now, why a good user experience and user interface matter the most when you're doing conversion rate optimization? Say, for example, I'll give you a scenario. Imagine if you visit a website to buy a course, any kind of a course. Okay, in this case, in this, let me tell you, a digital marketing course. You visit a website to buy a digital marketing course, but when you enter the website, the button is hidden. There are too many pop-ups, very confusing navigation. The font is very small and tiny. The page's responsiveness is very slow. Will you buy a course from that page? Definitely no, because of the bad user experience. And because it is bad, it eventually doesn't get converted. So, bad user experience, you'll get a lot of drop offs. And if it is a very good user experience, you'll get a lot of conversion. That is why user experience and user interface matter the most when you're doing conversion rate optimization. How do you improve this user experience and user interface? Let us see that. How do you improve all of these conversions? If you have a very simple and clean layout, if you have very minimal distractions, very clear information, then that is a very good user experience and interface. Now, if you have too many elements inside the website, too cluttered, too many elements, then that leads to cognitive overload. You're bombarding the client with too much information. He is not able to make a proper decision because of the cognitive overload. Now, that leads to poor user experience and poor user interface. The website page needs to have a fast loading speed because the users are very impatient. You need to have a very fast loading speed. Most importantly, you should optimize for mobile. Mobile optimization is very important. Today's users, everybody, mostly you can say 90%, most users are mobile users. So if the website is not mobile friendly, then the conversions begin to drop. So make sure it is a responsive website that works well when you're viewing it from a personal computer or a laptop, or even when you're using it via a mobile. The navigation is supposed to be very easy. Users should be able to find the product, see where is the pricing correctly. If they want to contact a service desk or a customer service, the contact details must be given very clearly, and the checkout page needs to be very easy. So all of these, if it is in easy navigation within seconds, then you'll get a good conversion rate. Now, students, what we have discussed about user experience and user interface, please take down notes as this is very important. Please make sure you take a note of all the keywords that we have used for the next 2 3 minutes. This is going to be your reflection exercise. Please take notes. And once you're ready, I will move on to the next module. Okay, students, now let us see the next topic: trust signals and credibility factors. Let us see what are the trust signals and the credibility factors in conversion rate optimization. Let me start with a simple question. I'll ask you one simple question. Would you enter your credit card details on a website that looks suspicious? I know mostly everyone will say no because it looks suspicious, right? Now, that hesitation is about trust. And in this topic, conversion rate optimization, trust is everything. So, what are the trust signals? Let us see. Trust signals are elements on a website that make users feel safe, confident, secure, and assured. All of these trust signals, they reduce the fear and increase the conversions. Let us see why trust is very important when you're doing conversion rate optimization. Very simple. Before people buy, they must first believe in your brand. They must first trust your brand. And after which, then only they will go on and make a purchase. So trust must be built digitally. If there is no trust, then there will be no conversions. Now let us see what happens without trust. The users will definitely leave the app, will leave the page. In between, they will abandon the cart. They will definitely not enter any kind of a payment details, and they will definitely hesitate at the checkout page. Now, even if the price is good, even if the price is unbelievable, they will still have hesitation, they will still have fear, because trust is very important. So let us see what are the types of trust signals. Customer reviews and ratings, that is one type of trust signal. We normally check the star ratings, whether it is 2 star, 3 star, or 4 star. We will also check the customer feedback, whether customers are given a good review or a bad review for a product. People actually trust, this is a very important point, because people actually trust other people more than brands. We, all of us do, we go and check for reviews, any negative reviews, how many positive reviews, how many people have liked it, how many people have disliked it. Now this is called social proof. Because real customer stories increase the credibility of the product or service. For example, say for example, if you have a digital marketing course online, now imagine if a person who has studied over there and has finished and enrolled on the course comes out and tells to the audience that this course has helped me get a job in 3 months. And if you add the name of the person, the photo of the person, and the location of this client, now this makes it very believable. This makes it more believable. And this is a very positive sign for any kind of a brand. One more example of trust you can see is if there is a secured payment badge. We must see before making any kind of a payment if there are any kind of a Visa, MasterCard logos, because these are very prominent platforms. If there is a secure payment gateways, if there is a secure checkout page, all of these are very essential to check before you're making any kind of an online payment. And it is very impossible for websites to implement all of these trusted procedures. See if they have any clear return and refund policy, because the users know easy returns. See if they have any kind of a money back guarantee, because all of these factors make it very clear to the client. They feel more safer to purchase, and the risk is definitely decreased. See if the website has a proper phone number, proper email ID, a proper office number, if they have a customer retention team, because all of these feels more real. Because if there is a website that is very anonymous, then people will feel very risky. So it is important to have all of these implemented when you're going in for a website. An about page is very important. So, dear students, what I have taught you in this topic, which is the trust signals and credibility factor, I have it front of me. Please take notes for the next 2 to 3 minutes for this topic, as it is very important. And once you're done taking this reflection exercise and taking down notes, I will go ahead with the next topic. Okay, students. Now let's try to understand the next topic, testing and experimentation in conversion rate optimization. Now we are going to dive deeply and understand how testing and experimentation works in CRO. Let me start with a simple question. How do you know which design works better? You don't guess, you test. That is the foundation of CRO. Let us see what is testing in CRO. Testing means comparing different versions of a web page to see which one gets more conversions. Now, instead of assuming what works and what doesn't work, we use data. Now, CRO is not about opinion, it is about experimentation. Let us see why testing is very important. For example, Many people, many brands think a red button will work better, or having a very long headline works better, or having more images in the website increases the sales and it might work better. We heavily rely on basic guesswork. But when you do testing, for example, like in A B testing, split testing, this is the most common used method. Version A is your original method, version B is your modified work. Now we are showing both versions to different users. Now in one version, for example, you can have a red color button. In the next version, you can have a blue color button. In one version, you can have a very short headline, and in the other version, you can have a very long headline. In one version, you can have like 1 to 2 images, but in your second version, say you can have about 4 to 5 images. Now compare both of these campaigns. Whichever gets more conversion rate eventually wins. This is the whole point of doing testing. Now, because of doing this testing, you will be able to identify the problem. Where is the drop off happening? You will easily be able to understand, for example, the checkout page has a low completion rate. You will also be able to understand if we reduce the form number of fields in the form, the checkout completion will increase and it will be even more beneficial for the client, for the customer to fill in a form. Analyze all of these results, see which version performs the best. Say for example, if only 20 people visit the website, the results are not reliable. We need enough data before concluding. So when you have a very small size, a small sample size, you will be able to get unreliable results. Now there's one more very important point by doing this testing is it helps us understand what attracts attention, what builds trust, what reduces the friction among the client and the customer, what creates an urgency for the customer. So all of these are very important when you're implementing the A and B testing, when you're doing a conversion rate optimization in digital marketing. This testing is very powerful for any kind of a business when they are trying to implement conversion rate optimization in digital marketing. It can increase the revenue very significantly, it can reduce the marketing costs, and overall, it can improve all of the sales of your product or your service. Now, students, I have this topic front of me, testing and experimentation. Please go on and take notes for this topic as this is a very important topic. From the next 2 to 3 minutes, please take down these notes. This is going to be a reflection exercise. Please reflect on what I've explained to you about this topic. And when you're done, I will go forth with the next topic. Okay, students, let us see ethical considerations in conversion rate optimization. Let me ask you a simple question. Is it okay to increase sales by tricking customers? Because some marketers only focus on conversions, but ethical marketers focus on long term trust. So, conversion rate optimization should improve the overall user experience and not manipulate the users. So, let us see what are the ethical practices when you're doing conversion rate optimization. Ethics in conversion rate optimization means optimizing for conversions without misleading, without manipulating, or without harming the users. It means being honest, being very transparent, respecting your user choice, and protecting the overall user data. Because manipulation is unethical, you need to show the benefits very clearly, you need to highlight the offers, creating urgencies very honestly. All of these are persuasion, but it needs to be done in an ethical way. You should not do manipulation, which is fake scarcity, show them hidden cost, misleading the buttons, and forcing any kind of a subscriptions. All of these are very bad practices and comes under manipulating the customer. Data privacy and user consent. We collect the data from the customers, from the clients, for example, like the client's email address, phone numbers, all of their payment details, all of their browsing behavior. Ethical practices means very clear privacy policy. We need to give them a very clear privacy policy. We need to be very transparent about the data usage. Whatever we track, we need to ask consent before tracking, and we need to store that data very securely. The user should know what they are agreeing to. So, this is an ethical practice that we all need to follow, that brands need to follow when they are implementing customer end to end possibilities. It is very important to be as ethical as possible, because we shouldn't give the client fear. No false testimonials, no fake reviews. All of these will bring the customer down and eventually won't lead to a potential customer. You need to gain a very long term trust with the customer. So, this is very important that you follow ethical SEO practices when you're doing conversion rate optimization. So, please follow the principles of this SEO in a very ethical way. Be transparent, be honest, have a clear user control, have a very clear communication with the client, keep data protection and policies, and always have a long term thinking. Focus mainly on the brand value, because at the end, that only turns into conversion rate optimization, and it will help the brand in a very positive way. So, finally, CRO, conversion rate optimization, is about helping the users make decisions easily but without forcing them. So, improve clarity, reduce the friction, build the trust, respect all the users, because the trust increases the lifetime value. And please do not manipulate, because manipulation destroy the whole brand. So, students, we are done with today's session. It was a very insightful 2.5 session. I hope you all also felt the same. I hope it was very insightful for you all. We have completed with chapter 5 for today, which is conversion rate optimization. It is a very important foundation in digital marketing, and I hope it was a very valuable time for all. So, we are done with today's session. Thank you so much, students, for participating and enrolling in this session. It was a very good session, and I hope to see you all in the next chapters again and again. Thank you so much. Please sign off, and this is me signing off for today's session. Thank you, students. Thank you so very much.